Oh, greetings, everyone. This is the Quest Podcast. I'm your host, Siphosethu Kamlambisa. Kabuciwa Shutitipu Nosinga. Umtumlamba. Yeah, today I wanna speak about first aid, the importance of having the knowledge of basic first aid, especially for everyone. You know, there are incidents that occur and there are unforeseen circumstances which can occur. So we need to be prepared. We need to be armed. We need to have this knowledge. Even the book of Hosea speaks about my people perish due to the lack of knowledge. So we need to have the knowledge. So first things first, let me define first aid. What is first aid? First aid is the aid which is given to a sick patient or an injured patient on the scene before now the arrival of paramedics who who are advanced before the arrival, before you take maybe the patients to the hospital or the doctor. So it is the first line of defense. For example, in a workplace, having an incident and is far away from the hospital. So a first aider is a person now who's gonna imply now his knowledge and apply it on the patient so that the aim now of what is the aim now of the first aid? The aim of the first aid, there's three aims. The aim is to preserve life and then also prevent further more injuries and then also promote recovery. I call it the three P's. Three P's: preserve life, prevent further more injuries, and then promote recovery. So a first aider is actually a person who must have a good leadership skills. You must be able now to delegate people if an incident occurs. And then you need to be also sympathetic to people. You need to be sympathetic. So I remember I was once involved in an incident where a guy got injured at work. So I had to react quicker and to preserve the life of that person. I had to delegate people, I had to run. You're required to do a lot of things. And you have to be able to be decisive, take decisions. Not easy, but you have to take a decision and stand by it. And not work beyond your scope. There are certain things which I cannot do as a first aider because I've done basic. There's levels to these things. So I try to stick on my level and do the best that I can. And do what I know, not something that I don't know. Try to perform surgeries. No, it's not my scope, but just to preserve life. Make sure that the patient is conscious. Make sure that I stop the bleeding. Make sure that I put the patient in the right positioning so that it doesn't get injured furthermore. So I've actually made also some notes, but I'm not gonna check them, but I'll just check them out kancane, then you should do that. So if SAIDA also must also recognize an emergency that this emergency it requires kuthi be fast kangakanana. So you have to require that, recognize that emergency. You also taking charge, and delegating. You become like a CEO or a supervisor. As I've mentioned about that guy, I had to take charge until I hand over the person to either hospital or the paramedics. Legally, I'm not supposed to leave the patient. And this other thing called now the consent. So there are four, is it four? Yeah, I think it's four types. Let me check out. It's four types of consents. So we'll look at this consent. It's actually the actual consent, implied consent, minor consent, and consent of the mentally ill. Actual consent, it's where you consent verbally. Ask a person, hey bro, can I help you? Yeah, bro, okay, you can. I'm a first aider. I'm so and so. I'm Nicholas Mlambisa. Can I help you with first aid? Then yeah, the person who can be able to help him with first aid, and then yeah, then he agrees. And then implied, it's when maybe it's when a patient it's unconscious, can't see, and then yeah, you just imply that that consent, and then you just help the person without him or her concerning because of due to the state of that person. And also um is it a minor, yeah, a minor consent. And then it's when a parent or guardian gives consent to you to give first aid. And also consent for the mentally ill is the one which now it it almost the same as the child, where you are given now permission by the guardian or by the parent of that mentally ill person. So first aid basically also there are two main categories of first aid, which is now is life-threatening situations and minor injuries. So minor injuries, it can be I got a small cut on my hand, then you know that no, you're gonna dress it, then you're gonna put a bandage, then that's one, it's a minor. But there are circumstances which are life-threatening. A patient can't breathe, the pulse is so low, then you'll be required now, it's either to provide CPR or yeah, actually provide CPR so that the patient can be conscious. So there's a golden rule now in 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 first aid that it's life over limb. Let's say I got into a scene, then there are people lying down. There was an accident that occurred, and there's a patient who's lying down and unconscious, and his pulse so low. So I have to focus on the patient that it's life-threatening injury than the one maybe who has a broken leg. I can come back to him at a later stage, but I have to now prioritize. So I therefore say it's quite important, the importance now of having basic first aid and a basic first aid kit to each and every household, because if you never know when this thing can happen to you, so you need that. There are some situations where you see that, especially living far away from hospital, so you need to do something to preserve that life, then to prevent more injuries and to promote recovery and apply now the knowledge of basic first aid. Even it is done even in factories, workplaces. There are first aiders who are located and actually given the knowledge, went to school for first aid, and they they are very important in a workplace. And as a first aider, the advice I would give is that When something happens, you need to quickly react. Quick reaction. You need to follow intuition. You need to do what you know, not something that you don't know. And don't panic. Don't panic, but do the job. It's a very risky job. It's not easy dealing with employment. Somebody's life is so valuable and so precious. You cannot buy somebody's life, so you need to make sure you know what you are doing, and you're constantly reading now. That's why I saw as important to actually share and start this series of basic first aid, where I'll be sharing knowledge of first aid bit by bit by bit, in a granular manner, giving you these capsules. And I don't want to make long videos. Very short, keep it short, very short and very brief. And yeah, and you have to be strong, and you also have to protect yourself. You don't have to harm yourself, but you have to protect yourself while you are saving. This thing is saving. I really enjoy doing first aid. For me, I care a lot about people, so to me it comes naturally. So I love seeing people papilla and surviving and recovering. But one thing we should look out for is safety. We need to wake in a safely manner. Sebenza ngendlela safe. I've been in a lot of situations which are life threatening, for especially for patients which I was treating. I remember in 2016, yeah, I had to help this other guy called Utumi. May his soul rest in peace. That guy committed suicide basically because of he just lit up the room with fire. So up until a certain stage where he regretted and wanted to come out of that room. That room was burning, was in fire. Everything was on fire there. So I had to come in, break the butler door, security door, and take him out. But the damage was already done because of the heat. His skin was starting to tear off. Inyama zakhe beziphuma mombamba, so inyama zakhe bezisuka. So took him out, that guy, put him outside, put him some wet towels on him, and rushed him to the nearest hospital. But sadly, he passed away the following day in hospital. So the doctor said, no, this patient is severely got burned. Then the fire, it's almost 80 degrees. He couldn't make it. His body was like big and swollen. Yo, to see that guy in that condition. Then after a few hours while seeing him the following day, when I went home, I got a call that that guy couldn't make it. So yeah, guys, it was one of the most traumatic experience. And I think as a first aider, you also need trauma counseling. You need to go to therapy. And for me, I also go there. I also do meditations. Normally, I meditate a lot. Go to mountains, go to the rivers, do some cleansing. Yeah, and meditate on this thing and try to be positive, because of this thing can get to you. Trauma is something else, and I believe that a lot of people are in deep trauma, especially South Africans. Some of these traumas, Tina, I believe we've inherited it from those who came before us. Remember, South Africa, it's a country where it was colonized, apartheid. Our parents were forcefully removed segregated, put in this concentration camps called townships. So that thing affects you. Others were raped, others were abused, whipped by this apartheid police. And apartheid was also told by the UN that it was a crime against humanity. So imagine that type of kind of trauma. So a lot of people, I believe, need counseling, not take things lightly. So yeah, sorry for deviating a bit, but yeah, I believe that first aid is a very critical. Also, firefighting. We need to have basic first aid. We need to have basic firefighting so that when shit hits the fan, we are there to respond quicker. Not to react, but to respond. Responding now, we're using wisdom, we're using our knowledge, we're applying that knowledge. Yeah, reaction is based on emotions. So yeah, guys, I'll check you out on part 2. This has been the part 1 where I was speaking about the 3 P's: preserving your life of the patient, and then preventing further more injuries, and promoting now recovery. Then you have to become a person who's sympathetic, who can sympathize with people, who loves people. I remember back in the days, people who were first aiders, doctors, they used to love people a lot. Not others. I'm disappointed with others, especially nurses, doctors. They treat patients like utoti. Yeah, but they don't enjoy their jobs. They're lazing around. Like I make that thing with this page, this person who enjoy themselves. But to get my patient, you can't even speak to that person. Akanabubele. It's not person is not open enough that you can share things, you can share your traumas with. Either than a away and speak ill about you. You must change. People are suffering, people are going through trauma. First aiders, nurses, doctors. I know you guys work in high stress environments, pressure, but let's treat patients in the right manner. Kulu will thank us. We are saving. That's a service. This job, it's a service, not ukuzenzela, but we are serving the people, and then uNkulunkulu uzokubonga in ways you never imagined. Guys, if you find this video interesting, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to my podcast, Q's Podcast. I'm your host, Spusetuka Mlambisa, Nicholas. Yeah, I'm off, guys. Signing out. Peace, much love. Part 2, check it out, it's coming. Peace, much love.